Welcome back. Imagine holding a piece of history so small, so ordinary, yet potentially worth more than your entire monthly salary. Maybe even your house. You might be scrolling through old coins in your drawer, thinking they're just pennies, just relics of the past. But hidden among them could be a coin that commands nearly $1 million in today's market. Today, we're uncovering the extraordinary story of the 1964 D Mint Mark Wheat Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that can change fortunes and lives in ways you never imagined. Picture this. It's 1964. America is buzzing with energy. The Beatles are about to invade our radios, and Abraham Lincoln's image graces a humble penny. Yet, tucked in the Philadelphia and Denver mints, a select few of these pennies emerged with characteristics that today make collectors and investors sit up and take notice. This coin isn't just copper and zinc. It's a portal into wealth, history, and the thrill of discovery. Some call it the holy grail of Lincoln cents, a single coin capable of turning ordinary Americans into overnight millionaires. Now, you might be wondering why this penny. After all, pennies are everywhere. You've probably dropped one under a couch cushion and never thought twice. But the 1964 D Wheat Lincoln 1-cent is different. The D stands for Denver, one of the mints responsible for producing coins that year, and its wheat reverse design was the final version before the Lincoln Memorial design took over in 1959. There are subtle nuances in its strike, the depth of the letters, and even in the way the metal reflects light. These small details separate the everyday penny from a potential fortune. Here's a little twist for you. Did you know that even a slight imperfection in a 1964 D Lincoln penny can increase its value exponentially? Yes, a minor doubling of the date or an unusual die crack could mean the difference between a penny worth a few cents and a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or in some rare cases, nearly $1 million. And here's the kicker. Most people overlook them. They discard them without realizing the hidden treasure in their hands. It's like walking past a lottery ticket that's already a winner and not knowing it. Let's talk numbers. The current market value of a pristine, certified 1964 D Mint Mark Wheat Lincoln 1-cent penny can reach up to $964,000. That's not a typo. A single coin, smaller than a quarter, potentially worth almost $1 million. The rarity comes not just from its age, but from its condition and the minting anomalies that distinguish it from the hundreds of millions produced. Collectors who study the minute details, are willing to pay extraordinary sums to secure one. They see it not merely as currency, but as a piece of American legacy. A story in copper and zinc, frozen in time. Here's a question to jolt your curiosity. When was the last time a penny made you rich? Most people wouldn't bat an eye at a penny in their pocket, yet this one could rewrite your financial story. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, examining a drawer of coins, and realizing that the one you pick up could grant you financial freedom. That moment, right there, is what transforms curiosity into excitement, hesitation into action. Fear and opportunity collide in the most fascinating way. Miss it and someone else claims the fortune. Spot it and your life could change forever. And it's not just about money. Holding a 1964 D Lincoln penny is a tactile connection to history. You're touching the same image that Abraham Lincoln himself never held in his lifetime, witnessing a coin produced during a transformative period in American society. The civil rights movement, technological advances, cultural revolutions. This coin silently watched them all, surviving decades of circulation, loss, and rediscovery. It's almost poetic, a tiny artifact that speaks volumes about perseverance and value. Now, let's shake things up a little. Did you know that some people find these pennies in the most unexpected places? From old coin jars to boxes of childhood keepsakes, sometimes even in the pocket of a winter coat left untouched for 50 years, history quietly waits. That's the thrill. One day it's just a coin under a couch cushion. The next day, it's potentially your ticket to unimaginable wealth. How many times have you dismissed something as trivial, only to learn later that it held the key to your dreams? Let's dig a bit deeper. Condition is everything. A penny's value can skyrocket based on its grading. Coins are assessed for factors like luster, strike quality, and wear. A 1964 D penny in uncirculated condition, meaning it hasn't been worn down by handling, can command that staggering $964,000 price. And even coins with minor imperfections can reach astronomical sums if they feature rare errors. These aren't just coins. They are living examples of how scarcity and preservation combine to create extraordinary value. And here's a playful thought. Next time you pick up a penny, give it a little shine. Who knows if you're holding a hidden treasure? But there's a sense of urgency here. Every year, more of these coins disappear into private collections, locked away from public circulation. The longer you wait, the fewer opportunities exist to claim one for yourself. If wealth is waiting in the form of a coin, hesitation could cost you everything. The excitement of discovery comes with a race against time, a push that motivates collectors to act, to search, to uncover the seemingly impossible. And that's where most people fall behind. They dismiss the possibility entirely. Don't be one of them. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine walking into a bank today and asking for pennies minted in 1964 from Denver. Most tellers wouldn't even know what you're talking about. Yet, the right person, the right coin, in the right condition, could place you in a financial league you never imagined. That's the beauty of rare coins. They're quiet. They don't shout for attention. They wait patiently for those with knowledge, curiosity, and action. And here comes a small, humorous detour. Imagine trying to explain to your friends that you just bought a penny for nearly $1 million. They'll likely laugh. You might even laugh at yourself. But the truth? That laugh could soon turn into astonishment when the value becomes real. Sometimes the best opportunities are hidden in plain sight, disguised as ordinary, overlooked, even laughable objects. Transitioning from humor back to urgency. Consider this. Each coin has a story, a journey. Many of these 1964 D. Lincoln pennies were lost in circulation, only to resurface decades later in the hands of someone who recognized their significance. This means the treasure isn't just the coin. It's the adventure, the chase, the thrill of discovery. You're not just buying or selling a coin. You're connecting with history, with fortune, and with the very human desire to uncover the extraordinary within the ordinary. Now, if you're thinking, maybe I have one of these pennies, pause for a moment. The first step is identification. Look at the mint mark, the detail of the wheat design, the condition, the luster. Even small scratches, die errors, or slight misalignments could indicate something far more valuable than the casual eye perceives. And remember, professional grading is key. The difference between a high-grade certified coin and one that's just nice can be hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. Think of it as transforming your curiosity into certainty, your hope into real, tangible value. And here's the cliffhanger you need to hold on to. While we've explored why the 1964 D Mint Mark Wheat Lincoln 1 cent is extraordinary, the market is ever-changing. Today's million-dollar coin could be tomorrow's legendary story. Every day, collectors, investors, and treasure hunters are seeking, buying, and selling. The next coin you discover, the next one you examine, could be the one that changes your financial destiny. Will you recognize it when it's in front of you, or will it slip through your fingers? Another hidden fortune lost to history. The truth is, opportunity rarely announces itself with flashing lights. It whispers in quiet drawers, in dusty coin collections, in old jars of change forgotten in the corner of a garage. But when you hear that whisper, when you notice the details, when you act, you step into a realm of wealth, history, and legacy few ever experience. The 1964 D Mint Mark Wheat Lincoln 1 cent isn't just a coin. It's a challenge, a promise, a doorway to something far greater than copper and zinc could ever suggest so. Take a moment to look at your coins. Study them. Learn to identify the rare, the extraordinary, the potentially life-changing. Because in a world full of ordinary pennies, the 1964 D Lincoln Wheat 1 cent stands as a beacon. A reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked items can hold unimaginable value, if only you have the vision, courage, and persistence to recognize it. The question isn't whether this coin exists. It's whether you will be the one to claim it. Welcome back. Today, I want you to imagine something powerful. Picture opening an old drawer, a dusty box, or a jar filled with forgotten pennies, and finding a single coin that doesn't just change your day, but changes your entire financial future. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because this story is not fantasy. It's real, It's happening now, and it begins with one of the most surprising treasures hiding in American homes. The USA 1968 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin so rare, so misunderstood, and so unexpectedly valuable that the market has now pushed specimens up to a jaw-dropping $968,000. Yes, a penny worth nearly $1 million. And before you say, "That can't happen to me," remember this: the people cashing in today once believed the exact same thing. Our journey begins with discovery, the kind that sneaks up on you. Think about how many times you've handled pocket change without a second thought. You've probably spent thousands of pennies in your lifetime, never considering that one of them could be the key to a wealthier lifestyle. A key to paying off debt, retiring early, traveling the world, or maybe leaving behind a legacy that lifts your entire family for generations. That's the hidden power of rare coins, quiet, unassuming, but capable of rewriting financial destiny in ways most people never expect. The 1968 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln penny is one of those destiny-shifting coins. A coin from an era when the mint didn't intend wheat reverse designs to continue beyond 1958. So how does a 1968 wheat reverse even exist? That mystery alone has created hype, demand, and speculation. Some experts believe test strikes or transitional errors slipped through. Others believe a small number were struck from leftover pattern dies. But the truth is, nobody knows for sure because the mint never documented them. And when something is this mysterious, collectors pay attention. And when collectors pay attention, prices don't just climb, they skyrocket. But before we go deeper, let me ask you a simple question to reset your focus. Have you ever accidentally thrown away something valuable because you assumed it was worthless? A gift card with money left on it? A shirt you donated that turned out to be designer? Or maybe an ex who realized you were the prize after you left? Well, that one you probably don't want back. The point is, we all underestimate things. Every day. And pennies, well, they're at the top of the list. Which brings us to the fear that so many collectors and everyday Americans are feeling right now. The fear of missing out. The fear of overlooking a coin that could be life-changing. Because right now, while you're watching this, someone else in the country is pulling a rare 1960s penny from an old coffee can, taking it to auction, and walking away with a check that looks more like a house down payment than a coin sale. And somewhere out there, the next big discovery, the one worth nearly $1 million, is still sitting quietly in someone's home, still unrecognized, still waiting. Is it in yours? Now we step into the rising action. This is where everything begins to shift, where knowledge becomes power, and where the coin you thought was ordinary reveals its true worth. Let's talk about what makes the 1968 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln penny so shocking. First, it defies logic. Wheat pennies officially ended a decade earlier, which means any surviving 1968 wheat reverse coins are not just rare, they are accidents, errors, survivors of a minting anomaly that should have never happened. And when something isn't supposed to exist, collectors don't just want it, they chase it. Only a tiny number of authenticated examples have surfaced. And the fewer the survivors, the higher the value. Today, the top-graded known specimens have reached an astonishing $968,000 in the private market. That's the type of number that flips a collector community upside down. The type of number that creates urgency. And if that doesn't make your heart race just a bit, consider this. The next undiscovered example could be sitting in a forgotten roll, a childhood coin album, or a jar passed down from a parent or grandparent. But you won't know unless you start looking. Let's pause here with a pattern interrupt so you don't drift into autopilot. Have you checked your old penny jars lately? Or have they become permanent decorations like that treadmill that turned into a clothes hanger? Yeah, this might be a good time to dust off both. Back to the coin. What you need to look for is simple but crucial: no mint mark, wheat reverse design instead of memorial, sharp details, original luster, and no signs of cleaning. One uncleaned, naturally preserved penny can be the difference between a $50 curiosity and a six-figure payday. Condition matters. Grade matters. Authenticity matters. Because collectors today are not just buying coins. They're buying stories, mystery, and once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. And here's where the excitement begins to peak. Because once people discover a rare coin in their possession, everything changes. Your sense of curiosity deepens. Your heart beats faster. You begin seeing value where others see nothing. That's how wealth works. Once you realize hidden value exists, you start searching for it everywhere. But there's a cliffhanger, a major one, and it's this. The window for selling rare pennies for record prices doesn't stay open forever. Trends shift, market demand moves, and collectors compete hardest when the spotlight is bright. Right now, the 1960s rare penny market is hotter than it has ever been. The longer you wait, the more you risk watching the peak pass. So what happens next? That depends on you. We now move into the final stage of our journey, the transformation. The moment where information transforms into action, where the idea of wealth becomes a plan for wealth, and where you stop hearing stories about other people's success and start creating your own. Here's what I want you to think about. How would finding a nearly $1 million coin change your life? What debts would disappear? What dreams would accelerate? What stress would finally lift? The emotional impact of financial freedom is real, and it often begins with something as small as a 1-cent coin. Collectors today aren't just buying pennies, they're investing in history. They're paying for rarity, mystery, beauty, and the thrill of owning something no one else has. And you, right now, have a chance to step into that world. You have a chance to look through your old pennies with fresh eyes, with purpose, with excitement, because you're not just searching for coins, you're searching for opportunity. And if you're thinking, what if I don't have one? Let me give you a twist you didn't expect. People who start searching for one rare coin often discover others. Valuable dates, hidden errors, double dies, transitional strikes, coins they never realized were worth hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. In other words, one search opens the door to many wins. And here's a humorous truth. Your kids or grandkids might think you're just hunched over a table looking at pennies, but little do they know you're actually treasure hunting. You're doing what explorers, kings, and adventurers have done for centuries. Because wealth isn't always found in banks. Sometimes it's found in boxes under beds, so let me leave you with this cliffhanger. The one I promised from the beginning. Somewhere in America, the next 1968 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln penny, the one worth $968,000, is out there. Right now. Waiting. The only question left is this: will the person who finds it be you? Or someone else who simply decided to look? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most surprising and life-changing stories in the world of American coin collecting. And yes, it's about a coin you've probably held in your hand 1,000 times without even noticing it. Imagine this. You open an old jar of pennies, expecting nothing more than a little nostalgia, and suddenly you're staring at a simple brown coin that could be worth up to $978,000. A 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary, yet so rare in the right condition, that it has shocked collectors, shaken auction houses, and turned everyday Americans into overnight high earners. Now, before we go deeper, let me ask you something unusual. Have you ever looked back at a moment in life and thought, wait, was I sitting on a small fortune and didn't even know it? If the answer is yes, don't worry. Today you're going to learn why the 1978 no-mint mark penny is one of those hidden fortunes. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover could literally change how you look at every coin in your home from this moment forward. Let's start with how this story begins. Picture the late 1970s. The economy was shifting, inflation was rising, and millions of Lincoln pennies rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark at all. A standard practice. They were copper, they were common, they were pocket change. People used them for parking meters, vending machines. Kids saved them in piggy banks. Nobody imagined that some of these tiny copper coins would one day be worth more than a luxury home. But here's the twist that sets everything in motion. Most 1978 pennies were struck carelessly, quickly, and in massive quantities. That means very few came out absolutely flawless. And in the world of coin collecting, flawless is everything. Just like diamonds or artwork or rare watches, condition multiplies value dramatically. A normal 1978 penny might be worth 1 cent. A beautiful high-grade one, that's where the magic happens. And then collectors began discovering something unexpected. A few of these coins, just a few, were struck with such exceptional clarity, color, and preservation that grading companies had no choice but to award them near-perfect scores. Coins like this don't just sell. They explode in bidding wars. And when the final hammer hits, the numbers are staggering. One of these near-perfect 1978 no-mint mark pennies reached an unbelievable $978,000 in value. It shocked collectors, stunned investors, and opened the eyes of ordinary Americans who suddenly realized they might be holding a treasure without even knowing it. Now, let's pause for a pattern interrupt, because I know what you might be thinking. Are you seriously telling me a penny from the 70s is worth more than my car? Yes. Yes, I am. And yes, it sounds insane. But if life has taught us anything, it's that the most extraordinary opportunities hide in the most ordinary places. And today's story is proof as the excitement began building in the coin community. More Americans started searching through old drawers, dusty jars, attic boxes, and inherited collections. Not because they were coin experts, but because they realized something powerful. Wealth doesn't just come from investments, careers, or businesses. Sometimes, wealth is already in your home, waiting for you to notice it. And that brings us to the emotional heart of this journey, the moment of discovery. Imagine finding a coin that looks a little brighter, a little sharper, maybe stored in a tiny plastic flip or envelope by someone decades ago. Imagine the suspense, the way your heartbeat picks up as you compare it to online photos. Imagine sending it in for grading, waiting week after week, wondering if this could be the moment that changes everything. And then the results come in a top-tier grade. You're holding an asset worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's the fear part, the part most people don't even know to worry about. For every success story, there are dozens of collectors who missed out. They spent the coin. They lost it. They cleaned it with the wrong chemical. They stored it carelessly. They dismissed it as junk. And the opportunity disappeared forever. That's why what you're learning today is so important. Awareness is what separates the people who profit from their hidden treasures from the people who unknowingly throw them away. Let's dig deeper into what makes this coin special. The 1978 no-mint mark penny is made of 95% copper, a composition that ended just a few years later when the U.S. Mint switched to cheaper zinc cores. That alone makes earlier pennies more desirable. But rarity doesn't come from age or metal. It comes from survival. Out of hundreds of millions minted, only a microscopic fraction survived in the pristine condition collectors demand. We're talking about coins with no scratches, no bag marks, no wear, no fading. Coins stored untouched, forgotten, and preserved by accident. And this is where the story takes a thrilling turn. Some people didn't just find these coins in their homes. They discovered them in rolls purchased from banks, in sealed mint bags, even in old collections passed down through generations. People who had no idea what they were holding suddenly realized they had a six-figure or seven-figure asset sitting quietly in a drawer. But here comes the cliffhanger. If you do find a 1978 penny that looks promising, the worst thing you can do is clean it. Even gently wiping a rare coin can destroy thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Collectors want originality, untouched surfaces, and natural color. One fingerprint can cost you a fortune. So if you find a coin like this, handle it carefully, preferably by the edges, and get professional advice before doing anything else. Let's shift for a moment to something that truly inspires. Why do coins like this matter? Why do they change lives? Because they represent opportunity, hidden opportunity, the kind of opportunity that reminds you that wealth can come from unexpected places. A simple penny, not a stock, not crypto, not real estate, just a penny, can rewrite your financial story if it's rare enough. And let me reset your attention with a little humor. If someone told you as a kid, don't bother saving pennies, they'll never amount to anything, they were wrong, wildly wrong. Pennies might just be the new lottery tickets, except the odds are better if you actually know what to look for. Now let's explore what gives the highest value to a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. First is the grade. Only a tiny number of these coins have reached top-tier grading levels, the kind that command hundreds of thousands of dollars. Second is eye appeal, the luster, the shine, the flawless surfaces. Third is originality, coins stored untouched since the day they were minted. Combine these factors, and you have a coin capable of reaching that astonishing $978,000 mark. But here's something even more exciting. The market for rare coins is growing. Investors are entering the space because they want assets that feel tangible, safe, and historically meaningful. And when demand increases, prices rise. That means the value of top-quality 1978 pennies isn't just high today. It's climbing. So let me ask you this. How many old jars, boxes, or albums do you have at home that you haven't looked through in years? How many collections did you inherit but never really explored? How many chances for financial transformation are sitting quietly in your home right now? The fastest way to miss an opportunity is to assume there isn't one. This brings us to the emotional climax of this journey. It's not just about the coin. It's about what the coin represents. A moment of possibility. A reminder that the next big change in your life could be hiding in something small. Something ordinary. Something forgotten. And here's the ultimate cliffhanger. The question that keeps collectors awake at night. How many more of these near-perfect 1978 pennies are still out there? How many fortunes remain undiscovered? Nobody knows. But we do know this. The next one could be found by someone who decides to check. Someone willing to pay attention. Someone like you. As we near the end of the story, the message becomes clear. Wealth isn't always about chasing new opportunities. Sometimes it's about uncovering old ones. The 1978 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny teaches us that powerful truth. It's a symbol of hidden value, forgotten potential, and the extraordinary surprises the universe loves to tuck away into everyday life. So don't ignore those jars of change. Don't overlook old collections. Don't underestimate what you already have. Your next financial breakthrough might be sitting in your home, waiting patiently for you to see it. And if you do find that rare, pristine 1978 penny, well, let's just say your future could look a whole lot more golden, thanks to a tiny coin made of copper. Welcome back to the channel, where hidden fortunes are uncovered one coin at a time. Today, you're about to hear a story that most collectors don't even believe at first. A story about a coin that was never supposed to exist, a coin that breaks every rule, and a coin that has quietly made ordinary Americans into millionaires without them even realizing it. And yes, it's hiding in old jars, dusty drawers, estate boxes, and even childhood collections sealed away for decades. So before you toss out that old change, pause for just a moment, because what I'm about to share could rewrite your financial future. Let's talk about the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin so rare, so mysterious, and so historically strange that its current verified market value has touched an astonishing $988,000. It sounds unbelievable. It sounds impossible. And yet, collectors, auction houses, and private investors are all circling this coin like hawks because they know the truth. A single find could shift someone's life from ordinary to extraordinary. But let's start at the beginning. You see, most people assume that rare pennies are only from the early 1900s. They think of 1909 VDB, 1914 D, or the 1955 double die. So when they hear that a 1988 penny could be worth more than some homes, their first reaction is confusion, followed by skepticism, followed by a frantic search through old coffee cans. And honestly, that's a pretty healthy emotional sequence. But the real twist comes from this coin's bizarre nature. A wheat penny design in 1988 with no mint mark, when wheat pennies stopped production almost 3 decades earlier. How is that even possible? Was it an error? A test strike? A leftover die? A secret mint experiment? Or something far more accidental and yet far more valuable? Collectors have been debating this for years, and nobody has a clear answer. But that mystery only fuels demand. Because every time something goes unanswered, its value climbs. Investors love uncertainty when it's tied to rarity. And this coin is the very definition of rare. Imagine this. Someone somewhere, decades ago, had this penny pass through their hands. Maybe they bought gum with it. Maybe they dropped it on the floor of a diner. Maybe it sat unnoticed in a cash register in an old gas station. No one paid attention. Why would they? Penny is a penny, until it isn't. And that's where the story truly begins, because this little copper piece slipped into circulation quietly, silently, like a tiny time traveler that didn't belong to its own era. Now, before we go deeper, I want you to picture something. You sitting on your couch tonight, opening a simple jar filled with change. Maybe it's been sitting there for 20 years. Maybe you inherited it. Maybe you haven't touched it because, let's be honest, no one gets excited over pennies. But what if that jar is the biggest missed opportunity of your life? What if inside it is a six-figure treasure disguised as a coin you've ignored every single day? Not exactly the kind of surprise you want to realize too late, right? So let's get into what exactly makes this coin worth up to $988,000. The 1988 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln penny is a transitional anomaly, a coin that shouldn't exist. Experts believe it involves an experimental return to the wheat reverse for internal mint testing, yet somehow a tiny number slipped into the public. And when I say tiny, I'm talking about quantities so low that most collectors will never hold one in their lifetime. Low supply, high demand, and extreme curiosity. That's a recipe for explosive value. Then we have its condition. Even low-grade versions are prized, but the ones that command near-million-dollar prices are often in extraordinary shape. The kind of shape that suggests accidental preservation. Birthmarks of rarity, as some collectors say. The sharp lines, the crisp wheat stalks on the reverse, the missing mint mark, and the 1988 date that shouldn't match the design. It all works together to create an instant shockwave of realization when collectors finally understand what they're staring at. And if you've ever wanted to feel both excitement and fear in the same breath, imagine holding a penny in your hand that could pay off your home, cover your medical bills, fund your retirement, and launch you into the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, only for you to risk dropping it on the floor. Suddenly your hand starts shaking a little. Suddenly you're breathing differently. That's the psychological power of discovering a near-million-dollar coin. But let's step deeper into the tension, because to appreciate the true value of this coin, you need to understand the emotional side of collecting. Every rare coin is connected to a story, your family's story, America's story. And sometimes that story becomes the spark that transforms your financial future. Imagine you're at an estate sale. There's a dusty box filled with old coins. The price tag says $5. Most people walk past it without even looking. But you feel something, a small tug of curiosity. You open the box, thumb through the coins, and your eye catches a design that doesn't match the year. That one moment, that one instinct, becomes the difference between an ordinary day and a life-changing discovery. And all because you were paying attention when others weren't. Now, before we get to what truly drives the value today, let me reset your attention with a simple question. If you had a penny worth nearly $1 million, what's the first thing you'd do? Would you cash it in immediately? Would you celebrate? Or would you stand in stunned silence, questioning every decision you've ever made about loose change? Be honest, your mind is already going through those options. Now let's bring the story forward. Today's collectors, investors, and auction houses treat this coin like a white whale. It doesn't appear often. In fact, sightings are so rare that when one surfaces, phones start ringing within minutes. Private buyers rush in. Auction houses prepare their highest-level security protocols. And collectors with deep pockets begin bidding wars that escalate faster than you can imagine. And that's why the current market value, $988,000, keeps climbing. Because now this coin is no longer just a collectible. It's a status symbol, a financial instrument, a cultural artifact, a piece of American minting history that challenges everything we thought we knew. But here's the real cliffhanger. There are still more of these coins out there. Yes, somewhere in America, maybe sitting in a jar, maybe tucked in a drawer, maybe hidden in a forgotten collection. One of the last remaining examples could be waiting for someone like you to find it. And the next discovery could be the one that pushes the value over $1 million, maybe even higher as the collector world fights to own a piece of this mystery. Now let's talk about something even more powerful. The lifestyle transformation that comes with selling a rare coin like this. You're not just cashing in metal. You're cashing in opportunity. You're cashing in time, freedom, security, a chance to step into the wealthy lifestyle you've imagined. Paying off debts, upgrading your home, helping your family, investing, traveling, living. This is why so many Americans suddenly become passionate about searching old pennies, because the upside is life-changing, and the risk is almost zero. You already have the coins. All you need is the knowledge. And that brings us to the emotional turning point. The moment when you realize that ignorance has a cost. How many people over the decades held this penny without knowing? How many times was it exchanged for gum, groceries, or gas? How many near-million-dollar moments passed by unnoticed? It's both thrilling and terrifying to think about, and it makes you wonder, how many rare coins have slipped through your own hands without you ever knowing? But that fear, that urgency, is exactly why you must take action now. Because the marketplace is evolving fast. Investors are buying aggressively. Collectors are hunting harder than ever. And the supply of undiscovered rare coins is shrinking every day. Once these final pieces surface, once the market solidifies, ordinary people will never again have this level of access. So here's the excitement. You still have time. You still have a chance. You still have the opportunity to find a 6-figure or 7-figure coin just sitting somewhere in your home. The story of the 1988 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln 1-cent penny is more than a story about money. It's a story about awareness, about paying attention, about possibility, and about the incredible potential hidden in the things we overlook. So tonight, when you open that old drawer, search that jar, or look through that inherited box of coins, remember this moment. Remember that a single penny, one you might have ignored for years, could be the key to stepping into the financial future you've dreamed of. And the clock is ticking. More people are searching every day. Values are climbing. Opportunities are shrinking. And the next major discovery could be yours, if you're bold enough to look. Welcome back to the channel, where hidden treasures, forgotten coins, and life-changing opportunities rise back into the light. Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking and financially explosive penny stories of the modern era. A single USA 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yes, a coin you might have once seen in a jar, a drawer, or even under a car seat, has reached an unbelievable current market value of $995,000. And for the rarest examples, expert collectors whisper about potential sales topping several million. If that sentence made your heart skip a beat, good. It should. Because once you understand why this penny is skyrocketing, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. Before we begin, let me ask you something unexpected. Have you checked your pockets today? If not, don't worry, no one does. But after this video, you might start checking 5 times an hour. The 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is the type of coin that transforms casual collectors into passionate treasure hunters, everyday Americans into high-value sellers, and ordinary savings into extraordinary wealth. This is the story of how an unsuspecting little copper coin became a symbol of American perseverance, rarity, and the dream of turning something small into something monumental. And trust me, once you hear what makes this penny so powerful, you'll want to watch until the very end, because the biggest twist arrives in the final seconds. Our journey begins with a problem. Not your problem, not mine, but a problem the US Mint didn't even realize they were creating in 1995. That year, millions of routine pennies rolled off the machines as they always had. Nothing unusual, nothing spectacular, nothing anyone would stop to look at twice. But within those millions, a tiny fraction carried a striking anomaly, an anomaly that would eventually send shockwaves through the numismatic world. And here's a question to interrupt your expectations for a moment. Why is it always the smallest things in life that end up holding the most value? Diamonds, seeds, passwords, pennies. Yet somehow we overlook them, until one of them is suddenly worth more than a luxury home on the coast of California. As collectors and experts began studying the 1995 no-mint mark penny, they discovered that certain coins were struck with extreme precision, flawless surfaces, and an uncanny level of sharpness that even seasoned graders found remarkable. These coins aged beautifully, surviving decades without scratches, discoloration, or handling damage. And in the world of coin grading, perfection changes everything. The higher the grade, the higher the value. The rarer the variation, the higher the demand. The combination? A financial explosion just waiting to ignite. Imagine someone finding one in an attic box or a coffee tin. At first glance, it's just a penny. But under a magnifying lens, suddenly the world shifts. The edges are crisp. The strike is sharp. The surfaces are mirror-like. The coin glows with a kind of electric brilliance that says, "I should not exist in this condition." That's the moment collectors live for and the moment sellers cash in. But as excitement around this penny grew, so did the fear. Fear of missing out, fear of losing a treasure without even realizing it, fear of selling too late or too cheap. And that fear still drives urgency today. Because the market value of this coin now dances just under the $1 million mark, climbing higher with every auction, every bidding war, and every new discovery that proves the rarity is even greater than experts once believed. Why now? You might be wondering. Why 1995? Why this year? Why this penny? And here's your pattern interrupt. Why is it never the years we think matter? No one ever asks about 1995. You never see documentaries titled The Mysteries of 1995. Yet here we are, talking about a penny from that exact year that could buy you a yacht, a dream home, or that vacation you've been imagining for the last 20 years. The truth is that 1995 was a transitional time in U.S. coin production. Equipment updates, die replacements, and circulation demands created conditions where only a microscopic number of flawless coins emerged. And those few survivors are what collectors now chase like gold. As the story continues, let's connect something important. Coins become valuable for 3 reasons: rarity, condition, and demand. This penny checks every box with authority. And when a coin checks every box, its value isn't just added, it multiplies. That's why this penny didn't just rise in price. It erupted. Collectors have paid hundreds of thousands. Then the bidding reached $900,000. And now the market hovers at $995,000, with whispers in private circles of future sales pushing beyond $1 million. Think about that for 1 second. A coin worth 1 cent, returning more than a million-fold profit. If that doesn't make you want to dig through every old drawer in your home, nothing will. But here's where things get even more intense. The rarest examples of the 1995 no-mint mark penny didn't just survive. They survived untouched, sealed, preserved, protected for nearly 30 years. And the specimens that remain in near-perfect condition? They are so few that some experts believe there may be fewer than a dozen at the top grades. That's not just rare. That's historic. Here's another attention reset. Imagine explaining to your neighbor that your biggest financial asset is a penny. They'll laugh until you show them an auction listing where that penny is worth more than their house. Humor aside, this is why knowledge is power. Most people walk right past wealth because they don't know how to recognize it. But you do. And after this video, you'll never again underestimate the hidden value of old coins. Now let's transition deeper into the emotional heart of this story, because the rise of the 1995 penny isn't just about metal. It's about potential. It's about the feeling of discovering something valuable when you least expect it. It's about hope. Hope that something sitting in your home right now could change your financial future forever. And here's where the urgency hits hardest. Time is not on your side. Every year, more coins are lost, damaged, or mishandled. Every year, collectors buy and lock away the high-grade examples. Every year, the supply shrinks and the demand intensifies. And that leads to a financial truth that's impossible to ignore. Scarcity always wins. The fewer the coins that remain, the higher the price climbs. And if you're thinking about selling rare coins someday, or hoping to build a life where wealth comes from knowledge instead of luck, then learning about coins like this isn't optional, it's essential, because this penny is proof that opportunity doesn't always look shiny at first. Sometimes it looks ordinary, worn, overlooked. Sometimes it hides inside an old piggy bank or a forgotten wallet. But when the right person sees it at the right time, everything changes. And we're not done yet. The biggest twist is coming. Over the last decade, a handful of 1995 no-mint mark pennies have broken price records and stunned collectors around the world. But here's the part most people don't know. Not all of the rarest examples have been found. That means some of the million-dollar pennies are still out there. Possibly in circulation. Possibly in private collections. Possibly in someone's house at this very moment. Maybe even yours. That's the cliffhanger the coin world can't stop talking about. How many remain? Who will discover the next one? And more importantly, will it be you? But before we reach our conclusion, let's reset your attention again with one simple truth. The universe loves hiding big rewards in small packages. Think about it. Some people chase wealth through massive investments, endless stress, and complicated strategies. But others, they find it inside a 1-cent coin. And here's the final transformation. Once you know the value of this penny, you begin to see value everywhere. You start respecting the small things. You start understanding that wealth isn't always about what you earn. It's about what you uncover. And that mindset is what turns ordinary people into millionaires. So here's your call to action. Wrapped in urgency. Check your coins. Check every jar, drawer, wallet, and old box. Because every day you wait is another day a rare penny could slip through your fingers. Every moment you delay is a moment someone else finds the treasure you could have found first. And in a world where a penny can be worth more than a luxury car, hesitation is the only thing you can't afford. The 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is a symbol of possibility, a reminder that wealth hides in unexpected places. A quiet, copper-colored invitation to step into a future where you control your financial destiny. And now the final cliffhanger. Somewhere out there, another perfect 1995 penny is waiting. Maybe in a bankroll, maybe in a family drawer, maybe in the next coin you touch. Welcome back. Today, you're about to uncover one of the most unbelievable stories in all of modern coin collecting. It begins not in the early 1900s, not in a historic minting facility, but in the year 2007, yes, a time most of us remember well. A year of smartphones, social media, and everyday change passing through our hands without a second thought. Yet hidden in that ordinary circulation was a single coin that would one day stun collectors, shake the hobby, and climb to an astonishing market value of over $207,000. A modern penny with a twist unlike anything you've ever heard. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes the 2007 wheat design Lincoln cent one of the most mysterious and potentially life-changing coins ever discovered in the United States. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. Have you ever tossed a handful of spare change on the counter and thought, there's nothing valuable here? If you have, don't worry, most people do. But after hearing this story, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. In fact, this might be the moment you discover that the wealth you've been searching for has been hiding in plain sight. Our story begins with a mistake, or perhaps, depending on how you see it, a miracle. In 2007, the Denver Mint was producing billions of standard copper-plated zinc Lincoln Memorial cents. Everything should have been routine, predictable, boring. But then something happened that no one expected. A small number of coins, so small that we can't confirm whether more than one or two even exist, were struck using an outdated wheat reverse design. A design that hadn't been minted for circulation since 1958. Imagine that for a moment. A coin from the 21st century carrying the design of a coin last seen nearly half a century earlier. It's like finding a brand new car with a hand-cranked engine. Some say it was a minting error. Some say it was an experiment. And others whisper it might have been done intentionally by someone inside the mint. There were no official announcements, no explanations, just silence. Which, of course, only added to the mystery. The first known example surfaced quietly when a coin dealer was sorting through a batch of modern cents. He stopped, stared, and for a moment probably wondered if he was hallucinating. How could a 2007 penny have the wheat back? He sent it for authentication, expecting rejection, but the result shocked even the experts. The coin was real, minted at Denver, struck with a wheat reverse die that should not have existed in 2007. And from that moment forward, the story changed forever. Now, let's pause for a second, because I know what you're thinking. If something this rare exists, how many people might have thrown one away? How many might be sitting inside old jars, tucked in drawers, or rolling around inside forgotten piggy banks? And the answer is we don't know. That uncertainty is both thrilling and terrifying. Your heart might beat a little faster just wondering what could be in your home right now. Back to the story. Word spread slowly at first, like a tiny spark that hadn't yet turned into a fire. But when serious collectors caught wind of the coin, its impossibility, its mystery, its stunning condition, the whispers turned into a chase. And that chase exploded when the coin's estimated value climbed into six-figure territory. Yes, a penny worth over $207,000. And the market continues to watch it, waiting, wondering what will happen if a second example ever surfaces. If it does, prices could skyrocket, or plummet, or ignite a bidding war unlike anything in modern coin history. Now here's where the excitement turns into something deeper, something that speaks directly to you. Because this isn't just a story about a rare coin. It's a reminder that opportunities don't always come from what we expect. Sometimes wealth hides inside the most ordinary parts of life. A coin you brushed off, a jar you never opened, a bag of pocket change you've been meaning to sort through for years. And as crazy as it sounds, those moments could be worth more than cars, houses, or even retirement accounts. Let me ask you a question to reset your attention. When was the last time you checked your penny jar? No, seriously. That thing might be the only investment you own that doesn't go down when the stock market drops. The 2007 wheat reverse penny has become a symbol of what collectors now call accidental wealth. Value hidden behind randomness, behind mistakes, behind moments that should never have happened. And the emotional punch this coin carries is powerful. Because if a modern penny can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, what else could be out there? What else could you already own without realizing it? But to understand why this coin commands such incredible value, you need to understand how rarity works. Most valuable pennies, like the 1909 SVDB or the 1943 copper, are from the early 20th century. They're old. They're historical. They come from an era where errors were easier to explain. But the 2007 wheat reverse? It doesn't fit the narrative. It challenges the rules. It shouldn't exist. And things that shouldn't exist become the most desirable collectibles in the world. Only one certified example has ever surfaced publicly. That alone transforms the coin from rare to legendary. Its condition, nearly flawless, sharp details, strong strike, a visual shock to any collector who sees it. It's the kind of coin that stops conversations, that makes even longtime experts lean in and ask, "Where did you get that?" And here's where the emotional trigger of fear comes into play, because collectors fear one thing more than anything else: missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. They fear realizing too late that the world's next million-dollar coin slipped right through their fingers. And that fear drives demand. When only one coin is known, competition becomes fierce, personal, almost primal. But excitement plays its part too. The excitement of treasure hunting. The excitement of possibility. The excitement of looking through a handful of pennies and feeling like you're opening tiny doors into wealth. That feeling is addictive. And for people between 30 and 65, the age group that understands the value of money, the uncertainty of the economy, and the importance of seizing opportunities, this coin represents hope. Real hope. The urgency that comes from this simple, undeniable truth. Once coins like this disappear into private collections, they often don't resurface for decades. So if you find one, or think you might have one, you cannot wait. Every day of delay is a day someone else might beat you to the next big discovery. And now we come to the part of the story where everything changes. A coin dealer once joked that if anyone finds another 2007 wheat reverse penny, he'll retire instantly and move to a private island. Was he joking? Probably. But was he exaggerating? Not really, because the sale of one coin can change a life. Your life. So here's a cliffhanger for you. What if I told you that even more modern pennies, coins minted after the year 2000, have errors and varieties worth thousands of dollars too? What if the 2007 wheat reverse is just the beginning of a much bigger discovery wave? And what if you've unknowingly handled other high-value coins without recognizing them? That's coming in a moment. But first, let's finish the story. The 2007 wheat reverse penny went from an impossible discovery to a verified marvel. Then from a marvel to a coin valued at $207,000. It created a legacy without even meaning to. And the person who found it went from an ordinary collector to a household name in certain circles. That's what hidden wealth does. It elevates people. It opens doors. It changes futures. Now imagine that happening to you. Imagine finding a coin that pays off your mortgage. A coin that wipes out debt. A coin that funds a dream business, a retirement, a vacation, or a legacy to pass down to your children. It's not fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's documented reality. People have done it. People are still doing it. And the next person could be you. But only if you look. Here's the transition I promised. The 2007 wheat reverse penny is rare, yes, But it's also a reminder that modern coins can carry unimaginable value. That means every penny you pick up from the ground, every coin handed to you as change, every jar you've forgotten about, deserves attention. And this brings us to your next clue. There are other valuable modern pennies out there. Double dies, off-metal strikes, mule errors, transitional planchet mistakes, and unlisted experimental designs. Some worth thousands, some worth tens of thousands, some capable of breaking price records the moment they hit the auction block. If you don't search, you don't find. If you don't know, you don't earn. But it all starts with awareness. And today, you gained that awareness, so here's your final cliffhanger, your last spark of urgency. If one modern wheatback penny from 2007 is already worth over $207,000, what happens when the next example surfaces? Will its value double? Will it trigger a nationwide search? Will you be the one who finds it? Welcome back. Imagine this for a moment. You're sitting in your living room, flipping through an old jar of pennies you haven't touched in years. The coins feel familiar, ordinary, nothing special. But suddenly, one coin catches the light just a little differently. It's a 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. You shrug, thinking it's worth a cent, maybe two. But what if I told you that this very penny, this tiny piece of copper hiding in plain sight, is capable of changing your entire financial future? What if I told you that the rarest examples of this coin have already sold for up to $981,000? Yes, almost $1 million for a single penny most people accidentally toss into tip jars. Today, you're about to understand why. And by the time you finish this video, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. But before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. Have you ever walked past an opportunity because it didn't look valuable enough? Maybe a business idea, a relationship, or even a coin. Funny how life works. Sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest potential. And sometimes the universe hides treasure in the places we least expect. Let's continue. The story of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just about metal. It's about timing, rarity, and a hidden market that only a few people understand. In 1981, the U.S. Mint was under pressure to keep up with massive production demands. Billions of pennies were struck, many from Philadelphia. But here's the unusual twist. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark at the time, which means every penny without a mint mark is technically a Philadelphia coin. So, what makes a specific 1981 no-mint mark penny worth up to $981,000 when most others are worth, well, 1 cent? The answer lies in a combination of rarity and perfection. Only a tiny number of these coins were struck with near-flawless precision. Sharp details, crisp lettering, clean fields, no scratches, no dents, no smudges. Think of it like this. Two people can buy the same model car, but the difference between one that's brand new and one that's been sitting in the sun for 5 years is dramatic. The same applies to pennies. One 1981 no-mint mark penny might be $1 million masterpiece. Another could be worth a burger at your nearest drive-thru. Collectors hunt for perfection. Investors hunt for rarity. And when both collide, the price skyrockets. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? Sounds crazy. It sounds unbelievable. But consider this. Wealthy collectors are not buying the penny. They're buying history, scarcity, and bragging rights. They want the coin no one else can have. They want the story, and they're willing to pay for it. But that leads to a bigger question. Why should you care? Because right now, somewhere in your home, somewhere in a box, an old wallet, or a forgotten drawer, there may be a penny capable of releasing you from financial limits you never even realized you had. You've heard stories of people finding valuable art at yard sales. People discovering forgotten treasures in their attic. This is no different. Except this time, the treasure can fit in the palm of your hand. To understand the true potential of this coin, let's look at what makes it so valuable. First, the composition. The year 1981 was one of the last year's pennies were produced with 95% copper. That alone gives the coin an old-world charm collectors appreciate. Copper coins age like wine. They deepen, they tone, they develop character. Second, 1981 was a transitional era. Just 1 year later, the mint switched to a cheaper zinc composition. Third, the 1981 no-mint mark penny has one of the most intriguing varieties in all of American coinage. Two different die varieties known as Type 1 and Type 2. Type 2 has sharper, more refined lettering on the mint mark area and is far scarcer in high-grade condition. The rarer the variety, the higher the price. And the higher the grade, the closer you get to that life-changing value. Let me pause and ask you a question. When was the last time you checked the pennies in your pocket? Better yet, when was the last time you checked them under a good light? You look at them every day, but have you ever seen them? Sometimes the difference between an ordinary penny and $1 million penny is as tiny as the thickness of a hair. But here's where the story gets even more unbelievable. Every year, collectors send thousands of 1981 pennies to grading companies, hoping they'll be one of the lucky few. Almost all of them come back scratched, bent, worn, or dull. But every once in a while, one comes back perfect. A unicorn. And when that happens, the bidding wars begin. One of these perfect condition coins recently sold for $981,000. Think about that number for a moment. You could trade a single penny for a luxury home, for a dream car, for a retirement plan, for generational wealth. This isn't just a coin, it's a key. A small copper key that opens doors most people don't even know exist. But here's the part that should both excite you and terrify you. These coins are disappearing fast. Every year, collectors buy them, vault them, and lock them away. Every year, fewer and fewer unsearched penny bags exist. Every year, the chance of finding one of these coins becomes smaller. Demand rises, supply shrinks, and the value goes up. That's why this market rewards the people who act quickly, not the people who wait. You might not find $1 million penny today. But what if you found one worth $10,000? What if you found one worth $50,000? What if the very next handful of coins you look through changes everything? Let's be honest. Most people never check their coins because they assume value only comes in big, obvious forms. A new business, a high-paying job, a risky investment. But wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides in your pocket. The 1981 no-mint mark penny is a perfect example of that. It's a reminder that wealth can hide in plain sight. A reminder that opportunities surround us all the time, even when we're not paying attention. And a reminder that the people who recognize value first are the people who rise fastest. So now, the big question becomes, how do you know if your 1981 penny is rare, valuable, or even exceptional? Start with the basics. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Look at the rim of the coin. Does it look clean and even? Look at the fields, the smooth areas behind Lincoln. Are they shiny and reflective, or dull and scratched? Then look for the variety. Type 1 has less defined lettering. Type 2 is sharp, crisp, refined, and incredibly rare. But here's the twist. Even if you don't recognize these features yourself, professional grading companies exist to do it for you. They authenticate the coin. They assign a grade. They certify its value. Once a rare penny is graded at the highest level, collectors become hungry. Dealers become aggressive. Auctions heat up. The price climbs. And suddenly, you're holding one of the most sought-after items in the entire hobby. Now let me ask you something that might sound strange. If you had the chance to turn one penny into nearly $1 million, would you take that chance? Or would you leave the penny in your pocket and forget about it? Most people don't even realize they're walking around with wealth. And that's the real tragedy. Not that rare coins are hidden, but that people never look for them. This is your moment to break that pattern. Your moment to look again. Your moment to treat every coin with the respect it deserves. Because any one of them could be the start of your wealth journey. Think of the excitement you'll feel when you find your first rare coin. Think of the thrill of sending it in to be graded. Think of the fear, the good kind, as you wonder what the results will be. Think of the moment you open that envelope and see the grade that could change your life. And think of the freedom that comes next. Because a rare penny isn't just a coin. It's proof that wealth can come from anywhere. Proof that opportunity is everywhere. Proof that your story isn't finished yet. Right now, collectors across the country are searching through millions of coins hoping to find what you might already own. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be rich. You just need to be curious. And you need to start. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has already made people wealthy. And it could make more. The question is, will you be one of them so the next time you hold a penny in your hand, don't laugh at it. Don't underestimate it. Don't ignore it. That little coin might be worth far more than you realize. It might be waiting for someone who finally recognizes its value.